1, 2, 1, 2. We are live, Labor Day edition of the GYGB War Report show. I'm your co-host, Roberto Flack, joined by my
GYGB War Report show.
Whoa, got a little delay here. Hold on.
Joined by
The radio delay.
got a little delay here.
Hold on. There we go. Let's start this one more time.
It's like the radio.
We're live, yeah, we're a live show, man. We are live here. Like I said, Labor Day edition, the GYGB War Report. I'm your co-host, Roberto Flack. Let's try this again. My man, Coltrane, what is popping?
What's good, my dude? Heat wave.
Heat wave, yeah, man.
Like a Floridian up this joint.
Yo, we're at that literal halfway point of the year, man. I mean, any way you can slice it. We're past the summer. All the kids are going back to school.
Did y'all start school back down there?
Oh, we've been back. Like, this is like week 2 going on week 3. We start early over here, man. But
it's crazy that you said that, because back in the day when I used to go to Disney with my peoples, we would go like around this time because we didn't go back till after Labor Day.
Right, I remember that. Yeah,
up north.
It's not the case anymore. Like y'all.
Well, it's sporadic. I'm on the outskirts of the city, so they don't start back until after Labor Day. But the city within the inner limits, it's now. Like, people started this week. This week was some started last week, but the vast majority started this week.
Word. Yeah, I mean it's after this weekend. That's pretty much when all the kids go back. So it's pretty much the beginning of the fall season, or y'all call it winter, right? Like, this is the point where y'all call it.
No, we get fall. Fall is from September to November. Really December is from. But it's crazy because it don't really get cold until like November. Like, it's warm up until like November. Like October, it start getting cooler. But it don't really start to become. We never really get a true fall season. Like, it goes from summer straight to winter. Like, we never get like a true, like a hoodie type pullover type jacket type season. We never really get that.
Well, the cold really comes in like January.
Right. Well, the hawk come in January, but the transitions happen in December though.
Yeah, true.
I mean November. My bad. Yeah, late November.
But usually, at least in the boxing world, man, we usually see that that September is the beginning of the fall season of boxing. We're already past the first half of the year, if not more, because I mean, we're already past the summertime. We've seen some fights in August. But summertime is usually the slow period, but September, the onslaught. This weekend, obviously Labor Day weekend, really not much going on at all. But following that, Danny, Sean Porter live on Showtime, then followed by the obvious fight we're all waiting for, and we're still, as the crew, going to be speaking about Canelo Triple G2. They had the open media workouts. I got a chance to see yesterday, so we'll touch on that real quick. But beyond that, Anthony Joshua, Alexander Povetkin the following week. So September is like, I kind of, ushering in the fall season. There's some fights in October, some fights hopefully materializing for November and December to kind of wrap up the year. And then this whole Wilder Fury fight that at one point we were hearing a couple days ago that Fury might have been balking at it, and now we're hearing he's all for it, and it looks as if it is going to happen. But yeah, that's pretty much the fall season for right now. I mean, we don't have any other secure dates as far as like the high profile fights, but I guess it's a segue into like what we wanted to talk about briefly. Like I said, there's no major fights going on this weekend, but there's still topics in the air that we want to kind of just put out there and start a discussion. The first, I mean, really, I guess it's dealing with one guy, but it kind of relates to the umbrella of the PBC / Showtime fighters. When this whole and we talked about it, earlier in the day, man. Like like really the history of how all this happened, because it's almost like a saga, like that began back, like, man, 2013. You know, like you could go as far back to when Oscar De La Hoya and Canelo were fighting on Showtime, and then this little well, not even little, but like this tsunami of talent left Golden Boy, along with Richard Schaefer and Al Heyman, who were working with Golden Boy, and independently took all these guys over to Showtime in this like monumental wave of talent that like none of us following boxing over the years had kind of like ever seen before. You know, like just all these guys that we had seen on these pay-per-views and HBO dates just now under the Showtime umbrella, which thus created the PBC conglomerate, I guess you want to call it. But since then, and you know, we're gonna get to one of the guys that is under this umbrella, who is one of the guys that we're like, look, like out of all these fighters, he's like one of the top guys that we're keeping our eye on, and thinking, at least right now, is going to be a major player down the road, and that's Jermall Charlo. But I'll ask you, Train, man. One of the biggest complaints or criticisms from the PBC conglomerate and these fighters, and we were going down the line of fighters on here, man, is, you know, one of the big complaints is the lack of activity with these guys. I mean, there's a line of fighters this year, man, that have only fought once and very likely will only fight once. And some of these guys are, you know, fighting their second fights, but maybe not the most challenging fights. But what's your take on, like, just how everything is right now as it relates to these top level guys that we want to see get more notoriety, but like are not fighting, man?
I think that what happened with Mayweather. Let me fix my computer. Hold up, my bad. Well, you was talking. Can you see me?
Yeah.
Okay, we good. All right. Well, you was talking about Floyd and the whole transformation from Showtime, from HBO to Showtime, and remember, it was Floyd that got the 5-fight deal from Showtime, and at that time, none of us really thought Floyd was going to carry that 5-fight deal out. We was like, he going to retire before then. Yeah, I remember. But we all know what he pretty much ended with. Was it the Pacquiao fight? Was that the last fight that he ended with? Was that his 5th fight?
Oh, Berto.
Oh yeah, how could I forget that? You know, I mean, but anyhow, I think what happened was, to your question, was Floyd laid a foundation and a blueprint for fighters. Now, this particular foundation is a format, is a formula for success, gradual success. Floyd, and you always talk about this, Roberto, offline. You always say, I think sometimes people and fighters forget the hard work, blood, sweat, and tears that Floyd had to go through to get to where he is.
Yeah, for sure.
Now today, with these fighters that you talk about that's under that particular banner, you take Keith Thurman, for instance, right? In the grand scheme of things, Keith Thurman fought you could say 2 fighters, 2 elite fighters. Not elite, but 2 fighters from his peers, Sean Porter and Danny Garcia. And he beat both guys, fair and square. You know, he beat them. That being said, that's still not enough to warrant, all right, I'm only going to fight once a year. I'm going to dictate this, that, and the third. When your largest purse is, what's Keith Thurman's largest purse to date?
Oh, I don't know, like 3 million maybe. He made.
Okay. His largest purse is $3 million to date. His biggest fight, you could arguably say, probably was with Danny. I know Rada's not going to agree with me there, but Danny, you understand when I say Danny, because Danny fights at the Barclays Center in New York. He's from Philly, which is still a 2-hour drive. New York is a heavy populated Puerto Rican area, as is Philly. So that was more of a Danny crowd than Keith Thurman crowd. So that was Danny's, that he was riding Danny's fan wave. So my point, this isn't just about Keith Thurman in particular. This is just about these fighters. They have this mindset like they're superstars and they're not yet. Like you hear them talk about this, you know, this guy, and this is all Floyd's type talk. But again, Floyd got to this point by earning his way here and dictated. Well, who did you go? You heard Danny just tell Keith Terrence Crawford is step your resume up and then come see me. Like y'all dudes ain't fighting nobody really.
Yeah, I mean, and I found that funny too. You know,
that's hilarious to me when them dudes talk like that.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not gonna sit here and say Danny didn't have like a you know, his 140 resume, you know, ain't too shabby, you know, like, but at the same time, man, there's no
everybody's equal. No, put it like this, right? And then you listen, you can say this about Crawford, you can say this about Spence, Keith Thurman, Sean Porter. None of y'all dudes have solidified yourselves as, okay, he looks different from the rest, right? Yeah. So even like, you know, we're big on Earl Spence and Terrence Crawford in our camp. But all that being said, we still have to see them fight the so-called elite in their weight classes. Even though we all agree that we think Keith Thurman, Crawford or Spence will beat the rest of the guys, but still, those fights still have to happen. And the other guys are on some like, well, y'all didn't fight nobody, y'all got to prove it first. Well, they're trying to get these fights to happen. Y'all telling them to earn their spot. First of all, everybody's the same age. You can't talk. That's like me talking to you like you're 10. You know what I mean? We're both equals. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't talk. Another 30-year-old fighter talking to another 28 or 29-year-old fighter, you telling him he needs to step his weight up. No, that's not the way it works. Like the problem that you got is these dudes are taking a successful module. Let me rephrase that. A finished off successful module, not the process of it. You know, we in Philly trust the process.
That's a good way to put it. That's a good
way. You know what I'm saying? Like they want to skip the process and go right to the finished product. Well, that's comical to me. Keith Thurman was talking like that too, like how Danny was talking, like step your name up. And listen, boxing is a business first. Technically, they're right. Like they have and better opponents. But Earl Spence went to the UK, in my opinion, for one of the better welterweights in Kell Brook that none of them guys would have did. None of them would have did. And stopped him in his hometown. Crawford, listen, there's the whole politics with Top Rank and PBC and all that. Listen, I get all that. But at the end of the day, just to wrap up, and I'll pass back off to you. These dudes, they're taking what Floyd did and they're flipping and bouncing it, as my man Ghost said, on some bull-ish. You know what I mean? They shark biting what Floyd did. You know, niggas bit off of Nas's album cover. Took his little idea and ran with it type situation. But they flipping and bouncing on some nonsense.
Yeah, I mean, you hit a lot of points, man. The thing too is that you figure these guys right now, man, are in their primes. You know, when you talk about the Thurmans, the Dannys, Sean Porters, and look, Danny and Sean Porter are fighting. But look, man, let's keep it a buck, man. At some point, and it's gonna be a lot sooner than later. All these guys have to fight because the well is running dry, man. And I think what's happened for these past few years, man. I mean, you look at Danny's resume, man. Like, look, since the Matisse fight, man, like he's had the Keith Thurman fight's been the only notable fight he's had. But yo, it becomes a deal where these guys are getting the payouts against fighters that it's just, you know, for you to make like 1.2 mil fighting like a Salka or one of these guys, man, like where's the urgency to go fight like a tough fight for only like a little bit more money, you know? And back in the day, there was like a tier system where, you know, you fought a level of fighter, this is what you made. You went up a notch, you made this. You fought the top world, you know, well, I mean, not pay-per-view back then, but world title fight, high profile, you'd make that money. But it's like these guys are making that money fighting guys here. So that is when this whole thing started, like that was my biggest concern, where these guys just weren't very hungry to fight, like outside of Errol Spence, again, who went to the UK. Like none of these guys like really are looking at the end of the road. Like they're just looking at the exit sign. Why we big up Spence and Crawford is like we see like the next 10 years of these guys. With the other guys we mentioned, like I don't even know about the next 5. So it's crazy, man. Like I don't know. Like I think with Danny, man, like this is, to your point, he's in a crossroads fight. Porter too. But Danny, for years, has always been like the, highly regarded, But I mean, we'll get to him next week, man. I mean, that's gonna be, the prediction show and all that. But the one guy I really wanted to touch on tonight, man, and I think it's because of how the division looks right now, middleweight. I mean, look, we got Canelo Triple G in a couple of weeks. Man, I can't believe it's already a couple of weeks. That's going to decide like 3/4 or 2/4 and lineal status of the middleweight championship. Outside of that, we have Danny Jacobs, Sergey Derevyanchenko. They're fighting for the IBF title. And now Demetrius, and I said this earlier, man, I've been calling this dude for years Andrade. I guess it's Andrade. Like, he even said it himself. So, like, my mistake. Demetrius Andrade, Billy Joe Saunders, they're fighting for the WBO title. Now, here's the thing, man. Jermall Charlo is over at Showtime, and he's just, like, kind of sitting there, like, twiddling his thumbs because he's – all right, look, he's the mandatory for the WBC, and, like, we get that. But, look, funny enough, the guy – that's fighting in a couple of weeks, who's the WBC champion now, how long did he wait? Like 2-3 years being a mandatory? Like, that doesn't guarantee you anything, man. But I think at this point, man, with Jermall Charlo, I mean, before I pass it to you, what we got to remember with all these guys, the PBC fighters, is that none of these guys are signed to Showtime. They're not obligated to Showtime. This is really like just like some handshake-ish, some like pound, type of loyalty stuff because of Al Heyman. And, we're hearing, that Al Heyman has struck a deal with Fox and not like buying dates, like got like a legit lengthy deal that they haven't really officially announced yet, but it's pretty much like through the industry that an announcement is coming at some point. But you got to look at Jermall Charlo and think like, man, like he's got to land at least one of these fights, not Canelo Triple G, but either one of these IBF or WBO middleweight title fights, or fight the winner. Because for him to get to Canelo Triple G, he's got to at least gain one of those straps. Because I mentioned to somebody that he's not a pay-per-view star. He's still like not widely known, but adding like a belt or fighting other guys is just going to add more for there to be like some legitimacy for him to fight, Canelo or Triple G. Because we know that ain't going to happen right away. So, like, do you think at this point, man, like he should just try to hit up Al and be like, hey, man, like I could fight this dude over here. I could fight this dude over there. Because, like, who's he going to fight on Showtime, man?
I always feel you need to do some outside the box thinking with these fighters. And it happened with Triple G a couple of years ago. We were kind of in this boat with him where he had nobody to fight. He was waiting on Canelo. The public demanded it. They wanted it. And Triple G found this guy in Kell Brook. Now, crazy as the fight sounds, when we first talked about, we heard about, we was like, okay, well, we know what's going to happen in this fight. you know, but at the same time, Triple G needed something outside the box type of situation to take place. Listen, and it happened. Bernard Hopkins for Trinidad and De La Hoya, you know, and so on and so forth. I just think that with the Charlo, with Jermall, he needs to, him and Al needs to come up with they need to come up with a solid game plan. You know, they need to come up with a 2-year plan, I think. Or even a 1-year plan, 1, 2, whatever. 2, they're still relatively young. So I would say a 2-year plan that leads to Canelo. Whatever that looks like, how it looks like. Now, the problem that you're going to have is it's not like you could put – see, normally in a situation like this, you could put somebody on another guy's undercard. That's the way it used to go. But because of all these different networks, promotion beefs, not that there wasn't that before, but it just seemed like back then it was easier to get fights done because HBO was pretty much the network, no matter
right.
You feel me? So it was a lot more easier to get done. And Showtime and HBO co-promoted stuff in the past, so it's not like that can't be done. Anyhow, to your question, you have to come up with a summer. Remember, Eddie Hearn was like, if he promoted the twins, they will be a lot more popular. You remember when he said that?
Yeah.
He was like, you know, I just think these guys should be a lot more popular.
I agree. I agree.
I mean, they're more into. They're more. Look, Odell Beckham just got $65 million a day, right? And I told my cousin, I said, listen, one of the reasons now they don't like to give especially in the NFL, to give players $65 million that's not a quarterback, it rarely ever happens in the NFL. But because of his popularity, because of his relationship with the youth, women, the culture, that's why he got that $65 million. So it relates back to boxing. Like you got, like these dudes are like they are all over social media. A lot of people know who they are that don't follow boxing because they're all over there. So I think you got to ride that wave and like capitalize off of it. Come up with something creative. You know, maybe he can fight somebody at I don't know, but they got to come up with something. And to your point, Andrade, I didn't know that's how you pronounce his name. I thought it was.
I thought he says Andrade, so I'm like, all right.
Andrade, no, I'm bad. Andrade. Who else is up? Daniel Jacobs. Now here's the tricky part about Daniel Jacobs. He's a Heyman guy, but he fights on HBO, right?
And he signed to Matchroom. He signed
to right. Yeah. So that's a fight right there that can be somehow you got to make that fight because, like you said, they only got a handshake deal with Showtime. So why can't Jermall Charlo fight what do Daniel Jacobs got to lose at this point?
Yeah.
You take the fight.
funny part with Danny Jacobs is he has I think only this Derevchenko fight that happens next month. Or no, I'm sorry, in October. He only has one. That's his last HBO date.
Okay, well cool then. Like
but he's probably gonna sign with the DAZN, you know. So
right. I mean, listen, at the end of the day, they need to get creative. They need to, like I said, they need to come up with a game plan the same way Triple G. It has to be a game plan that leads to like you have to force these guys. The way you force fighters' hands are, you know, you fight a guy that maybe gave another guy. You know how boxing go. You fight a guy that gave another guy trouble and say, "See, look what I did with this guy that he couldn't." This has been going on in boxing since the beginning of time.
Yeah. Well, to your point, oh, you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I thought you were. This dude, I'm looking at the chats. Jawan Wilcox is saying Willie Monroe versus Jermall is happening. # save the file. So, but that's like what I'm saying though. Like, what were we gonna get out of that fight?
Yeah, like that's not gonna get him to Canelo. Him beating up Willie Monroe.
No, absolutely not. You know,
what happened?
I mean, I'm just trying to look at the 160 division, man. And again, it's now here's like the irony when we talk about like Bud, like this is almost like the problem Bud has.
I was going to say it's Bud is no Bud is actually worse because Bud is more of an accomplished fighter than Jermall Charlo is.
Yeah.
He's actually kind of worse if you ask me.
Yeah, though, yeah, see, the situation with Bud, though, is, yeah, because, like, Charlo doesn't have an obligation to a network or a promoter, per se, you know? Where Bud does. You know, he is signed the Top Rank and this whole deal with ESPN. He ain't fighting outside of that umbrella unless it's a pay-per-view type of scenario. That's the only way I think Bud ends up fighting these guys. You know, it's only because, like, they're not gonna have their fighter fight on another net. It's just not gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? Somebody design right now.
Somebody told me this a while ago about sharks. I'll never forget this statement somebody said. They said, I don't like about sharks in an aquarium. They was like, I don't like going to go see sharks in an aquarium. I was like, why not? He's like, why would I want to see a killer caged in and not in their natural habitat? That's what Bud is like. He's like a shark in an aquarium. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, that's
on the tranquilizers. He can't go. He really can't hunt and attack, you know, like he's supposed to do, because listen, all his stuff is around him. All these other fighters that he more than likely can beat, that he never probably gonna get. I mean, I'm not gonna say never because we don't know what's gonna happen. Like, he's what, 31? He'll be 31 this year, right?
31. That's the thing, man. It's like, that's the thing we like when we talk. Like, one thing we keep stressing is like Jermall is like 20. The twins are 28, right? He's 31, man. Spence is 27. Canelo is 28. You know, so, you know, Bud has, like, that clock is ticking. But look, again, man, like, you know, it ain't 82, 83 anymore. And, like, we know, like, for all we know, Bud can be 37 and still be at, like,
platinum. Oh, yeah, no, we're not retiring. But
again, like, it still draws concern as it relates to his trajectory for the next, like, 5 years, you know, or even, let's even admit, like, 3, you know, because right now, man, like, beyond this Benavidez Jr. fight in October, you look at the rest of 2019, and again, I think this is why 2019, while we've been real critical of 2018, I think some major stuff's going to happen in 2019, man, only because it's at a point now where, like, look, we're talking about this Jermall fight, fighting somebody, like, things are going to have to happen and deals are going to have to be made in order. But it ultimately, and fans got to remember this, man, it's all up to the fighter at the end of the day, man. Like, and this is why we're saying with Jermall, like, he needs, if he wants this Canelo Triple G fight, to your point, Train, they need to map out some type of, you know, some line of trajectory where you could see, like, all right, well, let's see what happens with either one of these title fights and hit up Eddie Hearn. Let's hit up Frank Warren. Let's hit up, like, such and such. And just try to make these fights happen. It's not like none of the Al Haymon fighters have fought other guys. It's not like Khan didn't go fight Canelo Alvarez for a lot of money. And even if it did come down to it, like, Charlo would have to go fight on HBO pay-per-view right now in 2018, spring of 2019, to fight Canelo or Triple G. It just is what it is. But look, he could, like, he literally could. He literally could. There's no contractual obligation. He's gone on record to say it. Funny enough, he's also said too that he thinks at some point he's going to need a promoter, which I found kind of interesting.
I just wish that I just hope that these fighters, and, you know, going back to Bud too on this, these guys got to start taking more control of their careers. Like, I know that everybody's not going to be this business-minded guy type of fighter / business-minded.
Oh, right.
But at the same time, it's like, yo, like, you should be way more of a, like, Bud shouldn't be fighting these type of dudes that he's fighting, right? It should be all super fights from here on out. Like, you were 30-something. Like, what else do you want? Because you know what I'm afraid of, Roberto? I'm afraid one of these times he's going to fight one of these guys that we don't know of, and it turns out to be a Sergio Martinez type of situation. Because you know that happens in boxing.
Yeah.
Not that we never heard of Sergio Martinez, but he kind of, like, resurfaced. So, you know what I mean? Like a guy that maybe
he showed up later. Yeah.
Go back up again late. Because it happens. It happens in boxing.
I mean, it's the unfortunate side of like just how boxing is today with the divide. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you would look. I mean, you look at this country, man, and as far as like what we're dealing with, as far as like a divide in this country, man, it's parlaying into boxing, man.
It's the ultimate microcosm of life, sports.
It is, man. It is, and I think it's just a disservice to the fighters, really. But I think the fighters ultimately are going to decide, are going to make that change as to, you know, listen, man, I want to fight this guy, and he fights on this network. Let's figure it out. What are we going to do? Because ultimately, man, I feel when fighters want to fight, fights get made, man. Which is, I don't know why. I mean, I understand, you know, Mikey Garcia and Bob Arum have a history, but look, man, it's not like Bob's not done fights with other fighters. He's had like a bad outing with money's money, man, which is why, you know, this whole Lomachenko fight, and it's just crazy. Like that fight can be made, you know, and then when you think about, like I said, Jermall versus either one of those guys, or even like a Munguia against Jermall, like that should be happening like a fight or two from now, you know, but what's the likelihood of that happening? But I think in 2019, some of their hands are going to be forced. Like it's almost like the nature of the sport where you're going to run out of fights, you know, and it is a business. And these guys eventually, man, I think are hitting toward, they're like treading towards each other, because it's just, we're talking about it, whether it's Bud, whether it's Jermall or Jermall, whether it's like Canelo down the line fighting one of these guys. We're in a period right now where we got to find who the next superstars are. It's one of these guys, man. It's one of these guys, but eventually they got to fight one another. You know what I mean? Like the sport's not going to thrive if you just have like, oh, well, we have our superstar here and our superstar there, and you know, it's not going to pan out, man. And it's not going to make for any sales if like that's what they're going with. Ultimately, is what they're going for. We want the big fights, but like we said, like these PBC fighters, man, they got to decide whether or not like they want to fight or not, man. And Jermall, like we've been like looking at for, you know, the last couple of years, especially him now at middleweight. He's in a division, man, where I think outside of maybe, well, really, we could argue everybody in that division, man. You could argue he's got a chance to beat, you know. Well, meaning like, you know, the top 2 or 3, but yeah, man, it's things are gonna get interesting. I think when we see that Fox deal drop, as far as how things do pan out, because they need more viewership, man. Like we can't see Jermall fighting once a year under 500,000 views. You know, like that's how you expect to get out there.
What fight was on and it had really low ratings? I forget what it was.
On Showtime?
It was what I'm trying to think. Was it Sean Porter last fight? Who did he fight last?
He fought on the hold up, about to bring up the Wikipedia.
I know what somebody fighting into. I can't remember, and we were saying like, see, this is an example of you know, kind of what we're talking about ratings wise.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, back to Spence and all those guys. That's the thing about it is 2019. You got a couple of different scenarios that could play out. You got Earl Spence, who to Rada Daz, who always been on board with this. Earl Spence get fed up. I'm tired of waiting around. Let me see what's going on at junior welterweight. You know,
middleweight, yeah, junior middleweight.
Junior middleweight, my bad. Which is kind of messed up because everything is at 147, like monetary wise, business wise. So if Danny beats Sean Porter, which me and you believe beyond a knockout, and we'll get into predictions next week, but we're just saying, hypothetically speaking, all the signs are pointing to a Danny victory. We'll get into the reasons why next week. But If he wins, then what does he do? You think he's going right and fighting to Keith Thurman? Or is he going to, I mean, not Keith Thurman, Earl Spence, or is he going to wait, take a tune-up, and then fight Keith Thurman again? And if you're Keith Thurman, you come back, fight a tune-up, are you fighting a tune-up, going right to Spence? Are you going to fight a winnable fight, more lucrative fight, potentially, that you already beat Danny once, and you got the potential to beat him again? Now you're talking about 2019 being washed away from a big welterweight showdown within the PBC, under the PBC umbrella. So now there's only one thing left to do: Crawford and Spence. Like, that's another module that needs to be put in place. The problem is the buildup for it. Like, now, see, like Spence, like I'm hearing all types of stuff. I got to holler at Bread because I saw something earlier or a couple of days ago. Somebody was saying Spence called something about him and J-Rock. So I don't know what's going on. You know what I mean? Then you got the Mikey Garcia situation. So
do you think Spence is somebody that could fight simultaneously at 154, 147?
I do. I think he's that gifted of an athlete. I really think he could. Now, I don't know how long he can do it. I think for about a year he could do it. And then
because I was going to say, because at some point,
only for about a year,
he ain't gonna be able to make that 147.
I'm gonna keep it honest. I'm gonna be honest with you. How old is he right now?
He's like 27, I think.
Okay, so you know how it is once you hit that 30 mark. You get closer to there. Everything's just no matter how shape these guys are world-class conditioned athletes,
right,
on a whole nother level. But at the same time, your body reacts different. Especially people don't really get the whole weight thing with boxing and how critical it is. Like 1 pound, you see in weigh-ins how big 1 pound, the difference 1 pound make. So I think, to your point, maybe about a year he could do that. Other than that, it would have to be either 54, because he's trying to move up to middleweight at one point in his career. So I think that after this year, he's going to have to really make a decision on exactly what is it. Because why are you going to struggle to make welterweight, and if you can't land any big fights? It makes no sense.
Right. Which is why I feel like we're kind of teasing with the notion that while we think like Crawford Spence is the fight, it might be a deal, man, where he just can't make the weight anymore, man. I mean, to Radada's credit, I mean, he's saying it for last year, so
he's been saying it. He's like, he's not going to be there, but so long. He said he's fights, but his body is just like, he's just like a naturally strong individual. Like, I don't think, even if he wasn't boxing, like, I just think he's just like one of these little muscle tone type dudes.
And it's funny, I've seen this article where Oscar, Oscar's real big. He's real big on Spence. He said he would do a Spence Canelo.
I know he would.
Let me tell you something, man. I ain't the fight you want to put your boy in right now, man. I'll be dead honest with you. We talked about this, man. Spence, to me, in 6 months can be a middleweight.
I know. That's why for me, it's not that far fetched. Start it. You know the blueprint. Junior middleweight. Take a fight. Obviously he's not gonna fight the Charlo twins. That's okay. Fight. Somebody up there. Two fights. Move up. The good thing about it is Canelo's not really a middleweight either. So it's two junior middleweights essentially fighting each other.
Yeah.
what's going to be interesting, Roberto? The first punch Canelo takes in 2 weeks. I'm curious to see how he reacts to the.
I'm telling you, man. Like, we talked about it. I mean, look, we switching gears, but I'm telling you, there's weight classes for a reason, and there's certain guys that can fight in certain weight classes and not take punishment, and some others that think they can, and it doesn't pan out. But
so Floyd was one of the best that ever did it. Is a reason why he didn't move up to middleweight.
Right, because he's smart. Like he knew even look, I mean, look at him. I mean, like even at junior middleweight, you know, you fought an old Oscar, like an old like a Cotto who wasn't really a junior middleweight.
These were like all welterweights.
Yeah, really. You know, so but it's like Floyd was he was saying, yo, I could barely weigh $155 like walking around. These 160 guys.
He's not Sugar Ray Leonard. He's not Ray Leonard with a 5'10".
Right.
Sugar Leonard's 5'10" and legitimately 5'10".
Yeah. Like Floyd and like I saw Floyd years ago, man. Like I mean,
me too.
During when he fought here, was it Angel Man Freddy that he beat?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
it was Angel Man Freddy.
From the South Beach, man. He's and granted, he was one
little dude,
small guy, man. Like he's 147 now, but not that far removed from him being a super featherweight, man. Like he walks around about $148, $149 anyway. Like he's a small guy. Like he's like 5'8". Like Ray Leonard was a big welterweight. Tito, big welterweight. Those guys were like big. Like even Oscar for like a welterweight was like he was a big lightweight and even super what do you call it? Super lightweight. But even at welterweight, he, you know, he gained his like he brought, you know, he was strong. But I'm reading what on the chats. I've heard he Spence makes 147 easily. Juwan Wilcox. Well, look, here's the thing with that though. Okay, to Train's point initially, that ain't gonna happen much longer, man. And that's what I'm saying. What Train and myself are talking about is like it's a 2-year window. Let's just argue. We got by like 2020 for Crawford and Spence to happen. And the thing is, based on what Train was saying earlier, we don't know what the deal with Thurman is, what's going to come out with Danny and Porter. That's like that in itself is like a 2-year window. So by that point, I mean, Spence, like, he walks around like $190, man. What didn't he say something like he weighed like 100 pounds?
Yeah, he said it.
Look, the only other freakish welterweight we've seen in our lifetimes has been is Tommy Hearns. You know, wait, and look, you can argue Paul Williams, but
he was a thin dude. He was thin.
Yeah, like he packed, like I mean, just his frame and everything, like was just ridiculous. But I don't know, man. Like I think you know, we're gonna find out in the next couple of weeks, but it's you know, weight classes are made for a reason. But I don't know. That's
I mean to his point, I mean he does technically listen, you see the workouts what him and the twins are doing. So it's not that far-fetched that you know he can make the weight with no problem. I think more so what we're saying is that over a period of time, you're not going to starve yourself to eat certain foods, and if it's for no reason. That's all we're saying. We're not saying he can't make the weight, because he definitely can make the weight, but it's like at what expense though? Like why sacrifice for something that you're not getting in return? You know what I mean? Like it's pointless,
right?
So like to your point about Canelo, like Oscar is so-called on the record saying that, hey, listen, if Spence ever moves up, I'm making that fight. Like he got like this hit. Now that could just all be smoke and mirrors. Who the hell knows? But if I'm a fighter, Canelo is the cash cow in the sport right now. Like that's what all roads lead to him. If I'm a fighter, I'm laying me a module to somehow, even if I'm Crawford at welterweight, my module is somehow getting to Canelo. Like it starts at welterweight, and we've seen this through the history of boxing where welterweights become junior middleweights become middleweights. So it's not like we're talking some far-fetched stuff. And Canelo is the perfect middleweight because he's not really a middleweight.
Right.
So it's like a perfect, remember, smaller guys wasn't running up to fight Triple G because obviously, you know, he's a bigger, stronger middleweight with knockout power, which is a recipe for disaster. Where Canelo is not this one-punch knockout guy. The worst thing he could do to you is outbox you. That's the worst case scenario, unless you're a smaller guy like Josito Lopez or Amir Khan,
Right.
and he's gonna knock you out. You know what I mean? But guys that are his size and that are legitimately good, he's not knocking them out. He definitely listen, he's improved as a fighter. He's a lot better than when he first started. But at the same time, we're still waiting for that triumphant moment where he legitimately handily beat somebody. But that's a whole nother set of story. But to the point about Earl Spence, it's just that I wouldn't hold my breath about him staying at welterweight after 2019. If nothing happens this year, even early in the year, we'll know early what's going on in 2019.
Yeah. And look, and the other thing too is, I was thinking he only fought once this year. He actually fought twice. I forgot he fought Lamont Peterson. I forgot about that.
What happened with Mikey Garcia? Is that dead in the water or just?
Yeah, because the whole thing about it is that that's a pay-per-view fight. Showtime has to put it on pay-per-view because apparently
it's a stupid fight. I just hope that's just don't ever take. It's so stupid.
But that was my point. What I was trying. I mean, I didn't want to get sidetracked, but. Right. That's why it's like I don't know why he doesn't venture into trying making the Lomachenko fight, which is a lucrative fight in its own right. But look, man, let's stop beating around the bush. It's a much more winnable fight for him, man. Like where you can make other money if you want to go to welterweight after. I just think like he's shooting himself in the foot where he's daring to be great, and we always say like,
well, yeah, we asked him to do this.
But yo, man, like we get like, dude, like.
We know you can fight. We know you got heart.
Yeah, and look, here's the thing. Boxing is predicated on the fact that, it's based on the demand, man. Like, granted, we didn't get Mayweather Pacquiao for 5 years. It was a fight in heavy demand, but in most cases, when fights are in demand, they happen. None of us have talked about. Spence and Mikey Garcia. We've been talking about Spence and Crawford.
It's so random, right? It's so random. Like
random as shit, man. So look, my thing is for Mikey, like this should be a blessing in disguise that this fight, Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder fight is happening because that's gonna take precedence over Mikey versus Errol Spence. Because look, man, here the reality of it is, and it comes to like my original point as far as just like Showtime and these guys are not fighting everybody in different areas, in different places where you're not getting that much viewership, man. Like you're fighting like for 500,000 viewers as opposed to like 1.3 somewhere else or 1.2 somewhere else fighting like other guys, But in any case, the thing about it, man, is that it's just a situation where Mikey has the Lomachenko fight that we all want to see. Like we all want to see this fight. I haven't met one boxing fan that has said, "Yo, man, that." I don't know about this Mikey Spence fight, man. Like that's a toss-up fight. Like I haven't met anybody, man. The only thing I've heard from people is like they're patting him on the back for daring to be great, man. But like to me, like that whole notion, man, is just it's a little ridiculous sometimes because at the very end of the day, the best should be fighting the best within the weight class. I mean, this is what boxing. At the very end of the day, even when it was just 8 weight classes, they were set up for a reason. Like Mikey, to me, is not like Henry Armstrong that can fight at welterweight and lightweight. Like unless he's trying to prove that, like I just don't think he's gonna be able to. But I don't know, man. From the point is with Mikey. Well, at least with that fight is it's not gonna happen in December. Because this Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder fight is going to be the Showtime pay-per-view for the fall, because they're not going to drop like what HBO would do is like drop a pay-per-view in November and like, oh yeah, by the way, Here's another one for December. They're trying to keep it, where they're gonna keep it in early 2019, but like I guess Mikey fought earlier this year. He fought Lipinets, and then he fights Robert Easter, and then Spence fought Lamont, and then Ocampo. For him in particular, he's had a very lackluster year. Where at least with Mikey, while he was very much the favorite against Robert Easter, it was a unification fight. But I don't know, man. Like I have no interest in that fight. I want to see Mikey versus Lomachenko, and the fact that Lomachenko is going to fight this dude Pedraza, who, mind you, again, that's something we didn't talk about. Not much to.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Not much to talk about. He beat Beltran soundly, new WBO. Is it WBO? Yeah, lightweight champion. So he's going to be fighting Lomachenko. By December, Lomachenko is going to be very likely a 2 title holder in that division, while Mikey's the other. It's just like common sense. Like, how is this not happening? And why is Mikey looking at an Errol Spence fight? It just makes no sense to me.
Yeah, I'm hoping that was just like I said when he first said it. I'm hoping that was just one of those deals where he was just flexing some bare muscles that night and, just bringing more fame to his name. Like, hey, look, I'll call out the guy that nobody else wanted to call out. And knowing that it'll never really materialize. I just can't believe that this fight is going to take.
Yo, but they're saying there's a big they're serious? A lot of money, man. It looks like it's gonna happen.
Oh gosh.
But I'm like, yo, now, are they doing that because look, there's, we're not here opening Showtime's books and everything, but word around town is their budget has been kind of borderline capped. So is that just a fight that it lands on Showtime anyway, because it's just they're able to take more of that early budget and put it towards that? Because pay-per-view, what is Mikey Garcia versus Errol Spence on?
I know.
Really?
Who's buying? Right, I know. Yeah. I know, man. Well, we got all that to get into. Then next week we start getting into the fun stuff.
Yeah, because this is like I said, we got the long weekend here, man, and this is gonna be the beginning of the fall season, man. So every week we're gonna, we're gonna have a fight, next week.
That's where we at with it every week.
Yeah, because and it's every week this will come into September, man. It's a major fight, a title fight every single week. I'm drawing a blank as far as what the last month, the fight of the month is. And I'll remember obviously after the show wraps up, but really, next week we're gonna be Danny Porter. We're gonna get deep into it. Hopefully, we get ROD on. I really want to get ROD on next week, man, because I want to get his 2 cents.
Yeah, he's big on this. He's big on this Porter
fight, man. The whole crew.
I don't know what he thinks, Porter. Unless I'll let him explain this up next week.
Yeah. We got it. That's why because you and I are on the same page.
Yeah,
something else, but I see his point. But again,
it could happen, anything, but.
Yeah,
I don't know. I've seen this movie before.
Yeah,
too many times, unfortunately.
Also, tomorrow night, Tuesday night is the premiere of Canelo Triple G 24/7. Like I said earlier in the show, where we saw the open media workouts. Got a little glimpse of both guys. Obviously just for the fans and everything. But we're getting close, man. We're gonna do we do the. Oh wait! Now that I can mention this, man. So this is what we're planning, and for everybody, checking the show out, even on through the rest of the weeks, we're planning a live play-by-play. I think this is our first
time. Yeah,
we're doing official play-by-play of Canelo Triple G. Not the undercards. We're gonna do just the main card, and really just to get the full reaction of what's going to transpire. And we saw what happened last year, and we're expecting some. I mean, I don't want to say the effery. I'm hoping not, but I have a huge feeling we're going to see some major fireworks and some major eyebrow raisers, if you will. So we're gonna we'll talk into into detail as far as what we're gonna do as the weeks come, but we're gonna do live play-by-play myself. you guys haven't set up yet where you guys are watching the fight. I think RODs is like right now the leading candidate for the fight, or you there, Train?
No, what you say? If you went out on me, go ahead. Say that again, Roberto.
I'm saying like you guys decided where we're or where you guys are watching the fights at RODs.
It's I talked to Sleep, so it's probably gonna be at ROD's crib. His crib is what Sleep crib used to be, you know.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Yeah, it's probably gonna be at ROD's spot. So more than like, but we'll all be together regardless. So
so we're gonna do the play-by-play, man. We'll probably do a quick wrap-up show. I'm gonna have a bunch of heads over here, man. So it's gonna be dope, man. It's gonna be very.
I gotta, speaking of that, I gotta next week I'm gonna do like a little impromptu show on here for the Danny and Spence fight. I'm gonna be at my aunt's crib. My uncle's having this
Danny and Porter fight. You mean
Danny and Porter? Oh yeah, Let me not start spreading rumors. But anyway, this is like the ultimate casual boxing experience, and I'm with Rada would slit his wrist if he walked through what I'm going to go through Saturday. Now, my uncle's turning 50, so I kind of got to be there for this situation.
Okay, word.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's like one of my younger uncles that he turned 50. So anyhow, they're having a party for him. And I'm like, oh, that's the same night of the Danny and Porter fight. I mean, I know they're going to have it on, but it's going to be like white noise. Like this is the house, real quick, before we wrap up. This is the same house where my uncle turns the channel, not the one whose birthday it is. This is my aunt's husband. He turns the channel to turn to a playoff game. It was somebody was playing in the playoffs. We go back to the fight. Roy Jones is laying on the floor. I don't even need to tell you what fight that was.
The Tarver fight?
Yeah, the Tarver fight. We missed it.
Oh, damn.
We missed it.
It's history. That's
so far. The channel. So somebody like, yo, turn back, because they was playing the national anthem. I'm like, as a fight fan, you want to see all that. Like, you want to see everything. You want to see the fighters' faces. Like, that's all a part of it. But when you're watching it over people's houses that don't really care about the sport like that, it's not, that stuff don't matter to them. So this dude turns to the basketball. Needless to say, this will be my first, I'll be returning back to the same.
Oh my God.
I've been over there, obviously, but this is the first time I watched the fight over there that was 14 years ago, I believe. It was in like 04, right?
04. I remember that. I remember that night.
Wow. All right, my dude.
Good luck, dude.
So next week we back at it.
Yeah. So everybody have a safe Labor Day weekend, man. Stay in one piece. Follow us at Guards Girl Boxing on Instagram. Appreciate all the follows on Facebook, facebook.com/GYG Boxing, as well as Guards Girl TV, man. Hit the subscription, notification buttons, man. We appreciate it. We're coming back every week. Like I said, man, no fights really this week, but just getting discussions on and popping. But like I said, September, every week, man, we got a major fight. Danny Garcia, Sean Porter next week. We're going to give our predictions, our full analysis on that fight. The following week, the big one, Canelo Triple G. Like I said, we're going to do the live play-by-play. Obviously we're not showing the fight. We want to like stay on YouTube and everything, but we're going to give our live reactions as to what transpires. And then beyond that, man, we got the rest of the month, man, fights popping. And then, we'll see what pans out for November. And then if this Tyson Fury Deontay Wilder fight gets finalized, I'm hearing it's close too. But that's pretty much it, man. We'll be back next week. And until next time,